swifter than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird brain. It's a plane. It's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, a strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey, it's Walter from iWalter, which I have not been on for a long time. It is Saturday night, almost 11 o'clock. It's a half an hour away. Now, I was actually going to go see a movie. I went to a movie last night with my friend Matt. I had taken off of work to go see Friday the 13th. God. Yeah, I actually did something with Friday the 13th, on Friday the 13th. No, it was Halloween 3, and there was some story behind that, by the way. Hopefully I sound okay. I think everything may be set up okay. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm going to have to see in a moment. Anyway, it is the 21st of October. Next week I work a full week, and then after that, tomorrow I work at my job. They allow me to come in on overtime, which I'm very grateful for because I need the money for all this wishful spending I've been doing. I actually was going to say, hey, you know what? I was going to do one last week. I brought all my podcast equipment down to Blairstown. Sorry about that. I get very anal about dirty spots. I'm cleaning, walking away from the mic. And my friend that I went to see, we actually stayed in Stroudsburg, I believe. It wasn't too far from Blairstown, about a half an hour, 25 minutes. He said the one night, he said, hey, Walt, do you want to do a podcast? I think it was Saturday night or something like that, or Sunday afternoon. It was like, dude, I'd love to. I think it was Sunday, but it's like, I really got to get back home. I want to have at least one day to unwind. I think it was Saturday night, actually, so I had a day to kind of get things situated before I went back to work on Monday. So anyway, I was going to do a podcast, and we could have conversed about what, we thought about going on this trip, because we both really liked it. We were talking about it possibly trying to do it again, if that could happen. Anyway, what was I going to mention? I thought I was going to have anything to rip because I'm getting a late start tonight. This whole entire weekend minus last night, because this is like my Sunday now. Not tomorrow. Today is my Sunday on Saturday. Anyway, so I had taken off of work last night to go see this Halloween 3, and I mentioned that the week before on Friday the 13th, we went to Blairstown, me and another friend named Todd. Me and Matt Torrance, a friend of mine, went to see Halloween 3 last night. Still bother me, that wet spot or whatever you call it. It's on my desk. It has nothing to do. Nobody can see it. Nobody knows what I'm talking about, so it's nothing new. That's the way I am. So anyway, and then tonight was Psycho. It starts at 11 o'clock tonight. And I just honestly, I saw it once. I'd love to see it again. The original one with Anthony Perkins, the black and white one. I forget the year of it. But anyway, it was like, I don't have any material, really. It's just going to be me BSing. And then I figured, oh, you know what? For some strange reason, let me turn on the show I actually enjoy, because the guy makes as many mistakes as I do, which is Ken Matthews. So the first part of his third hour, I started, because it's the way it's set up on iHeart. I listened to the very beginning of the third hour of Ken Matthews' show from yesterday, from Friday night, or Friday afternoon, something like that. And lo and behold, he had something really of interest to me that I wanted to discuss. And I was like, okay, I already got some material. Now I can actually use for my show tonight. It's like an 8-minute segment, by the way. So that's gonna take a nice big chunk right there. I did try to look from stories to kind of kind of discuss a little bit, some news stories. Now, why I started that when I started my podcast, why I do these news stories is I got that idea because everybody gets an idea from somebody else and they take it as their own. Hold on one second. They take it as their own. I'm trying to look for the name of this thing now. It's a board game. So I got the idea, by the way, when I used to listen years ago, when I used to listen to Howard Stern, like there was that part that I enjoyed the most. And it was basically Robin Quivers doing the news. It was like, it's pretty funny. Like she had a little bit of niche to it, or he would make a joke about it on serious stuff too. So it's like, you know what? But I kind of like that idea that, doing the news segments and kind of responding and feeding off of that. And it's also because I listened to a lot of talk radio for the last couple years. I also got the idea from there. Later on, I do want to talk about what the segment's going to be about from Ken Matthews. He'll explain everything, but he'll do a better job than I can, believe it or not. And it's a game that he discussed on Friday called Secret Hitler. And it was like, wow, okay, this is definitely something worth. And it's not because, it's about Hitler. It has like nothing to do with Hitler. It's just another dig from the left, by the way, trying to attack Trump and the Republicans. So, and it is coming from the left. The game is literally a liberal leftist game that they made last year. And originally, according to what you're here from Ken Matthews, it started on a Kickstarter, which I'm not too happy with. I actually donated and, made a purchase on Kickstarter. Like, hey, I'll donate if, because one was that Friday the 13th, the video game. And I paid the money to actually not only donate to the development of the game, but also to own a copy. Well, they never sent me one out after it officially got released. I never got anything for that. So I'm really pissed about that. So I'm not on very, a happy level with Kickstarter, because I think the whole thing is once they get their money from you, you're never going to hear from them again, the people who you donate this money to help them develop their project, so to speak. So anyway, where did I leave off? So I will play that, by the way. I'm going to play that later on. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do a show tonight. I'm going to try to make it one because I've been off for like over 2 weeks. And again, maybe next weekend I'll try to do one if I have anything to talk about. If not, then I won't. But then the following week I'm going to be going to a play. I'm going up to Wilkes Bear, I think it's called. I don't even know how you pronounce it in Pennsylvania. Because I got me and a friend a ticket to Evil Dead the Musical. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I think he's going to be in for a little rude awakening. He doesn't realize it literally is a musical. It's a comedy musical based upon Evil Dead, but it's a musical. So he may be a little bit disappointed. So it's a drive for me. It's about 2.5 hours. For him, he just basically drives from his house about 15 minutes down the road. So there's a big difference there, too. So I'm looking forward to that. I did want to go see, Halloween. October is my month that I love the most. I like doing a lot. One year I had off of work, and I actually enjoyed October because I went to every night I went to a different horror movie, like classic ones like Dracula with who was that? Bela Lugosi, was it? But I went to the original horror movies of like the black and whites of Dracula and some classic horror movies, and it was great. I went to like these different haunted houses. Not really scary, thank God, because I don't like real scary things. But I enjoyed just going to those events. So I had a blast. This year I just really didn't have anything planned right away, and slowly it's started to develop into things, so I'm pretty happy. Anyway, I'm trying to think, because last night, going back to Halloween 3, that was a movie even the guy discussed who, it was at a place called make sure I say this right, Colonial Theater in Phoenixville. He actually mentioned, I've heard different stuff about the movie, because when the movie initially came out, a lot of people were really heavily kind of disappointed in the movie, the film. And part of the reason is because it did have, it was made by John Carpenter, right? He did The Thing, and he did Halloween. Because I'm John Carpenter. I'm trying to think, make sure I'm getting the right person, by the way, because how stupid can I be? Maybe just check real quick, because I believe I'm correct. Speaking of which, he is actually going to be down at soon. He's going to be down Philadelphia again at the Track at Dara, and he's Track, and he's going to do a meet and greet stuff. Now, I don't think it's really worth going to pay for the meet and greet. I did it once. It was kind of a waste of money. But seeing him perform, John Carpenter, is definitely a must almost to see at least once if you love his music and you love his movies. So that being said, he actually has his kids perform with him. Like, because he makes all his own music. Yeah, it is John Carpenter. He makes the music for all his film work. So, and again, it's just worth it because he actually, when I saw him last, I think a year or two ago, he actually has the film's segments like from his different movies playing in the background, and then he performs live the music that he, made for that particular film. So. Yeah, so I told a friend I'm going to have to look for it after I'm done my podcast. I promised him I would actually, look it up and let him know. But by the way, I said this to a friend, and I think John Carpenter's best film work is everything that he actually worked or coincided with, in my opinion. Her name was just up, too. And I forget. Deborah Hill. It's some reason when he worked with her, she kind of kept him grounded enough that his films actually made sense. They were actually really good, in my opinion. Even his worst films, if they worked together, were still his better ones. So, the fact that, they did work together in quite a few films, I don't think, well, obviously as they went on, he just, did his film work by himself. He didn't have help from Deborah Hill. But I think his best film work was with her. That's just my opinion, though. Anyway, when they did Halloween 3, I think he did, I guess both of them, Deborah Hill and John Carpenter, they did approach, the movie company or whatever it was. I forget which one it was at that time, if I heard it correctly when I saw the film last night with my friend Matt. And they said, yeah, they approached it. They said they don't want this to be, a continuation of Halloween with Michael Myers. They made that very clear. And they try to tell the movie production company, hey, listen, we don't want this to be another Halloween film as saying, the story with Michael Myers. This time, it was going to be a film, a standalone film on Halloween. It was basically, he said, I just want this, both of them, I believe, Deborah Hill, and John Carpenter, we just want this to be called Season of the Witch, because it has nothing to do with the other two films. And the movie company says, no, you need to keep Halloween in the story. It is going to be called Halloween. It's a Halloween film, meaning that it's a Halloween film without Michael Myers. It has nothing to do with that whole thing. So they thought it was a mistake from the get-go. They tried to tell him, listen, no, we don't want that in there. We just want to call it Season of the Witch. And they said no. And they were forced to put the name in there. And obviously the film just basically completely bombed, I guess. At least by most people. Because, we saw, I saw when it was being advertised even on TV when I was a kid, they said, oh yeah, Halloween is back again, Season of the Witch. And it had nothing to do with the original two Halloween movies. Because everybody that I knew, and included myself, thought that Michael Myers was going to return. And when you didn't see him, the movie just completely flopped. Now, if they would have kept their original idea, the movie would have just been called Season of the Witch. There would have not been any problems. So, but they, movie company thought they knew better, and obviously they did not. The whole premise was, because I know I read this somewhere or heard this somewhere, both Deborah Hill and John Carpenter, their whole plan was they wanted to make, like, every year a different themed Halloween movie, which would have been really good. So Season of the Witch was going to be the first one that had something that would come out on Halloween. It'd be a different horror story, a different, Halloween movie that would be completely different every single year. But after Season of the Witch completely bombed, they just kind of let that go. And then that last part I just mentioned is me, from what I recollect or, remember of what I heard. And I'm pretty sure that's correct. I forget where I heard that, though. So later on, when I'm done my podcast, I'm going to let my friend know about the truck, unless I can do it now, because I'm good at doing multitasking. So I'm going to do that, because maybe this way I can kill two birds with one stone. And for those who live in the Philly area with me, they can actually go see it themselves. But again, I'm telling you, it's definitely, if you have not seen John Carpenter, okay, here it is. It's actually November 18th. So I got to send this to my friend right now, so her know. Yeah, so what could I say? Yeah, so the week before that, I always liked Halloween, and I told my one friend, Matt, I said I saw the movie in the movie theater, years ago, because my brother, my middle brother, his name's John, he's the one who actually mentioned it. He went and seen the movie Halloween, and the original one, and he said, oh, yeah, this is really scary. And, he knew my mom liked movies before then, movies such as The Exorcist and everything. And he said, yeah, this is something you have to go see. I was like 11 years old, and my parents had taken me to go see it. So it was like, yeah, so it was definitely worth it. It did scare the crap out of me. I think I had my eyes covered 3/4 of the way through. I mean, I'm 11 years old. So, but it was worth it. I mean, that was like probably my first experience of a real horror movie on the big screen, silver screen, which was Halloween. And I think past that, it was like, after that, I was like, yeah, I really love horror movies. My mom always loved horror movies, but, I definitely did too. Because I think that was before, Halloween comes out before, if I remember correctly. I should have looked that up. But I believe that came out before Friday the 13th. Because Friday the 13th was like a late bloomer for monster films of the present day. And when it came out, obviously that still holds its ground till this day, because they're always reinventing the story of Friday the 13th. Made that TV series, which, even though it didn't have anything to do with Friday the 13th, was kind of like, kept people watching it because it had the name Friday the 13th. So, speaking of which, since I am on that subject now, we did go see, we went down to, it was in Blairstown. It's outside a little bit of Blairstown, but we went to this place where the campground is. That's AKA, by most people's standards, it's called, me and a friend Todd, that was on the 13th. We went to go see, he got tickets for us, and I paid him back. But we got to go in the campgrounds where they actually shot the film 37 years ago, I think now, of Friday the 13th. It was actually shot the year before, obviously. It was filmed. So we got to look around. Definitely had a really good time. We spent, I think, less than 3 hours. It was supposed to be a 3-hour tour, no puns intended, Gilligan's Island and stuff. But it was roughly around 3 hours. I would say more so about 2.5 hours. They gave you a lunch at the very beginning, and then they took you out in different groups. There was about 150 people there. The campgrounds are pretty big, but at the same time, they're not that humongous. It's a private campground. I think it's called Nehi Bisco or something like that. Busco, something really strange. It actually breaks down to abbreviations of different words. It is a active campground, even though I completely botched the name. But you could actually find, I should look for that. Angry Mother, I think, is the website for, these tour dates and stuff. I'm going to put in the Angry Mother. And see if that comes up. No, it doesn't. So this way I'm going to try to help people kind of find their way to this page. Images of the Angry Mother Friday 13th. That actually work. It's a shop. It's called No Be Bosco. No Be Bosco. That's the name of the thing, by the way. It was funny because when I was down at No Be Bosco for this trip, same time I did end up because I never got the Friday the 13th video game I was supposed to get. I ended up buying it online from Amazon, and they made sure that since there was a Friday the 13th, it was released on that day, and it actually came to my doorstep while I was down in No Be Bosco in Blairstown the same day. So it was kind of funny. So when I got home, I had Friday the 13th, the video game for my Xbox. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, if you go to Camp No Be Bosco, the campground says it's been around, it looks like since 1827, is that? I'm trying to look, but the print's so small, I can't see it. But I think that's about right. It's been around for a very long time, but it was somehow, the whole premise, they said, was actually when they were filming the movie of Friday the 13th, they actually, the film, Sean Cunningham, I guess, and the film crew, were actually looking for a different campground, which they could not find. They got lost because, it's in a backwooded area in Jersey. I would say it's like North Jersey, probably. And they got so lost, they ended up at Camp No Be Bosco and ended up just saying, you know what, this is great because it was kind of a rundown camp. And they said, this is perfect for what we're looking for. It was actually better than they expected. And then they asked, hey, can we use your campground? We're going to be shooting a horror film. I'm giving you the simple thing to this story they told us. And they actually said, by the way, No Be Bosco, they actually shot MTV Fear season. Fear was a TV series. Was a TV series. Well, they did one of the seasons. I think it was a whole season, or was it just one show? Okay. It says, by the way, real quick, because I'll forget this. No Be Bosco. They actually say what it stands for. North Bergen Boy Scouts. It looks like stands for North Bergen Boy Scouts. You can find it on the Camp nobibisco.org camp's website, so if you're interested. So, I do want to try to do it again, but the problem is it's very hard to get picked for these tours. I think the next time is going to be some weird date that there is. They only do these on Friday the 13th. We lucked out because this was the first time they actually had a tour on October, which is the month of Halloween, Friday the 13th. Now, the irony is, well, it's not an irony. I'm saying it is, even though it's not. But you know what was kind of funny? They actually shot the film in October originally, back in 1979, because it was released in 1980. So, yeah, the film was literally shot in October. So how perfect can you get? How much better can it be when you actually were there when the film was originally shot 37 years ago? So, yeah, the whole thing was really cool. Yeah, I'm just looking at some stuff now. I'm on the No Be Bosco website. I just have to shop for stupid crap that I'll probably ever never even do anything with. Like, I buy a lot of this crap and then I just put it on a shelf, as a monolithic thing. It's kind of funny. I just actually bought the other, which you could buy. There's a company that makes perfect duplicates, like 1-to-1 hockey masks, the different ones. There's been now, I think, 12 different 11 different masks, I would think. Oh, wait, not even 11, because there's 12 movies. I think they might have put up our picture and just did not put us in the frame. Because I'm looking, they have the tour, and I asked, can I get a copy of the picture? And they just kind of ignored the fact that I asked that. So that's okay. From this Nobi Bosco thing. Whatever. So anyway, yeah, what was I going to mention? Yeah, so I can't remember, but you can find it. Maybe I should pull that up. Amazon and eBay. You can buy replica masks, the different ones. So there was 12 movies, by the way. That's including probably Freddy versus Jason, and it's also including Jason X, obviously, because even though it didn't say Friday the 13th, it's a Friday the 13th movie. So the mask came in on the third movie, so you're going from 3 to 12, which is what? 3 to 12, that's 9 different adaptations of the hockey mask. Now, the one you can actually get for Jason X, it is very expensive because it was basically made of metal in one part of the movie, which I did see replicas. But there's one company that actually makes, licensed, perfectly matched, even if they're like little dolls, because they have little Jason dolls. But they also make 1-to-1 masks, meaning that they are perfect in every dimension and every detail of if you would buy, if you were able to buy one from the studio set. But then they did, what do you call it? They shellacked them, whatever, with resin. So, again, these masks are the closest thing you will get to what was probably used on the film. They're very, very, very good replicas, and they start out cheap, but they only make so many of them. So when they stop making them, people start to auction them off on eBay. So I bought some, but I try to get the cheapest ones I could get. Brand new, sealed. I end up throwing the plastic out, though, anyway. And it's from, I call it NECA. It's abbreviated NECA. That's why I say NECA, because that's what it looks like to me. But that company actually has officially licensed 1-to-1 hockey masks. The only thing that's not the same is the elastic. They have elastic band on the hockey mask. I think the ones that were used in the film by the actors actually were leather. So that's the only major difference. But as far as the mask itself, it says you can actually take the elastic off and you can actually physically hang it on the wall if you want to wall mount the hockey mask. Because over the years, I bought some cheap hockey masks that people try to make it look like the Friday the 13th one, and they looked really cool. But I'm telling you, once you get the one made from what I call NECA, you don't want to buy any other one except theirs. And they are becoming more limited because I think more and more people catch these films of Friday the 13th. And then it's like, yeah, I want that mask, but I want one that looks like really close. They're real heavy, too. Because did I mention that right? They're actually shellacked in resin. So it's very heavy. It's almost like makes it like if you dropped it probably good enough, it would probably shatter because resin is, what do you call it? It's a type of it's a coating they put on there, but it is like a shellacked on there, so to speak. So, yeah, but I got a couple of them now. Heaven forbid if I broke any of them, because I'd be pretty upset about the whole deal. I'm sorry, I'm looking at other stuff, so I'm getting very easily distracted. And we're actually at 29 minutes, which isn't too bad. I had wanted to play that thing from Ken Matthews as well. So, yeah, but when I was in down there, I did take tons of pictures, from Blairstown, the town itself. We did a little shopping around, looking around for, like, locations where they shot stuff. Because the film, by the way, of Friday the 13th was either shot mainly on the campground, obviously. The first one I'm talking about. The rest of them, that's a different story. I went a little astray by those masks, by the way, talking about those masks. Yeah, that all puns intended, because I did buy a couple hockey masks. Before I go any further, the second film, which is not shot in Blairstown or Hope, New Jersey, was probably shot somewhere else, probably I would say in California. The second actor to play Jason Voorhees, by the way, just basically wore a satchel over his head. And it was like, for the longest time, I was looking for a sack, not a satchel, a sack over his head. And, it basically looked like a piece of burlap over his head. It wasn't anything that clever. Didn't go over really too big. Basically, they just wanted to cover the actor's face. And then later on, they decided to make him, well, let's think about this. The boy is, at the very end of the first film is very, his face is all mutilated and grotesque. So by the second movie, they even mentioned it in the first one where they got the idea for the second one. He would be a grown man, or I think they came up with that premise. Somehow they came up with that. It was okay. He died in like the 50s. He would be a grown man, but he had no mother. He saw his mother get killed, blah, blah, blah. So he was an adult mongoloid. So, the very end of the movie, they made sure to kind of go the next step from the little boy who played Jason Voorhees to, okay, he's got to be an adult now. He's going to be an adult with a mongoloid, messed up looking, hideous face. So, but the whole movie, the guy, they really didn't show him until the very end, the actor, I guess. They only showed him running, his feet, the dirty shoes and the pants he had on. They were like construction pants. They actually showed him, they put a satchel over his head until the very last second last moment they show another actor or the same actor. I think it was another actor who actually had full makeup on, the mongoloid looking face. So it was like, yeah, I was never a big fan of, it was the hockey mask that actually had put forth Friday the 13th, put it on the map as a monster horror movie that just kept on spewing new movies out of that idea of the way they changed the character. So I looked online the other night. I think it was like last week at work. And here I saw somebody on Esty, I think it's called. I call it Esty, E-S-T-Y. I don't know how you pronounce that either. That somebody, like, there was somebody on eBay the other day I saw. He was putting up, like, Jason Voorhees mask for Friday the 13th Part 2. And it looked really cool, but the guy was asking, like, $50-$60 basically for a glorified pillowcase. And it looked kind of cool, but it also looked like it was very expensive, and the guy was just trying to cash in on the whole thing for Friday the 13th. Now, I saw the actor / stunt guy who played the part in the movie. I can't remember what his name, who his name is. God, I'm so bad with names. I'm just good with faces. I remember I saw him in person. You will find his face on my Facebook page, probably even my Instagram account, because I have a picture of him holding up a machete at my throat and having me take a picture, because that was his whole thing. Even though I guess he was the first one to use machete as Jason, as an adult, obviously, too. So he was the guy with the sack over his head, the actor. And I saw him, and it was cool. Anyway, he was like, he had a bunch of, that's what gave me the idea, by the way. He came up with the idea first, in my opinion, where he basically had a table full of sacks, that you would put over your head, with the hole out for the eye, that he would autograph that for you if you wanted your autograph on that. But then it was like, yeah, it doesn't look that impressive. But then later on, I was like, you know what? That's actually a pretty good idea. So that own one of those, because that's technically the first Jason mask, so to speak. It's just not the most popular one. But if you're a big Friday the 13th fan, like myself, then yeah, it's like something you almost really want to own. I would have preferably, I would have preferred to get one from him, which apparently he said, when I went to see him, he said, oh, this is the last time I'm going to do any conventions. And then like 2 years ago, or just this past year, that actor showed up to another horror convention. It was like, yeah, I wanted to go see him. I just didn't have the time to take off from work, I thought, so I didn't bother. So anyway, going back, why I'm talking about this whole thing with the head sack, as I call it, from Friday 13th Part 2, I looked on SD, and this guy made, like, he really went out of his way, whoever it was. Maybe it was a woman. I don't care. But they made these head sacks that looked like authentic duplicates from the film. Really heavy. It's not burlap either. It's something else. It's like a heavy, like what you almost... I'm trying to see if I can point my head around to look for it. See if I can. It's almost like, not burlap. It's almost like the same thing that probably is burlap, but like a flour bag or something. It's really thick material. It's not scratchy, though. And he actually darkened it in and make it look dirty. And the whole patch, everything is like 1-to-1 on, from the movie. Like they made this thing that the actor wore over his head look exactly like the one from the movie, Friday 13th Part 2. So, and he was only asking, that was included. I think the shipping was free. And it was on what I call Esti or Estia. He was asking like $19-20. It's like, you know what, for $20 for something that looks that authentic, I'll buy one. So I did, and it came in the mail just yesterday, I think. So I try to put the thing over my head. My problem is I'm claustrophobic, so I'm like trying to put it on my head, and I literally thought I couldn't breathe. So I was like, you know what, I can't do this. I'm not going to put this damn thing on my head. Then I figured, you know what, I'm going to run a fan, because I have a fan in my bathroom, because that's where I had snapped a shot. I did make it my cover picture now. And it was like, you know what, maybe with the fan running, it'll take my mind off that I got a potato sack over my head, or whatever you want to call it, where I can't, it's not a potato sack, where I can't freaking breathe. Like I'm literally feeling like I can't breathe. So I did that, and again, I made my profile picture. I had it on long enough just to snap a shot, and trust me, I snapped as many picture shots as I could as quickly as possible, because I was unbearable. I felt like I was dying, and it was like, okay, this looks really kind of decent. It wasn't perfectly centered on the top of my head. I didn't give two shits. I just wanted this fucking thing off my head. So, yeah, if you look at it, and it looks kind of creepy, and I think the guy who made it looked really good. It's unfortunate I didn't center it right on my head. And I didn't really care, because I couldn't breathe. I thought I was dying. So the thing that went through my head is like, okay, this really looks like the same material the actor wore on his head. And, when you shoot a scene for a movie, you're going to be shooting it for, for a long time, taking different shots and stuff until, you're done. And I'm like thinking to myself in the back of my head while I'm doing this for just like 30 seconds, how the fuck did this guy wear this for the entire movie during a shoot? Because, having something over your head where you literally don't have a breathe hole, you're breathing through, trying to breathe through a heavy fabric that is constricting your ability to breathe properly. I mean, and he had it tied with a piece of leather around his neck, and I tried to do it, and trust me, it was the longest 30 seconds of my life. Like I literally thought I was going to die, and I'm thinking, okay, this guy shot a film. I don't care if it was even the last 5 minutes of the movie or 10 minutes of the movie. You know how long that takes us to shoot 5 or 10 minutes. It probably taken a day or two of him wearing a sack over his head. It's like, I don't know how the guy did it. I don't know how he did it, the actor. So my heart went out to him. It was like, oh my God. I would not pay. If somebody told me to do this for a film, you'd have to pay me an awful lot of money to do that, because I really didn't think I was going to do it. So right now, by the way, I got 1, 2, 3, and I have a fourth one coming, plus the head sack. So I got 1, 2, 3. God, I can't count. I got 5 of the 11. Wait, okay. What did I say? 9. So I got 5 of the 9 masks. So I almost got every adaptation except about 4 of them. Different versions of what Jason wore over his head during these movies. So that was pretty cool. Blairstown, they have what's called the Blairstown Museum right next to Roy's Hall, which Roy's Hall at the time was something else. I can't remember what. But over the years, they made it into a movie theater and a playhouse called Roy's Hall. That's where it's in the movie. It's in the movie when the young girl's walking through town in Blairstown, in Jersey. You will see it on the far corner. It was blue at the time, I think, the building. Or is it blue now? Either way, it is now. Somebody bought it out. They fixed it up because it was kind of dumpy. Even when they shot the film, it was because it was a really kind of a dumpy town. So it got placed on the face of the map because of that movie. I'm sorry to say. So it's really bringing in money. So they do send me information for Roy's Hall once in a while. Hey, do you want to see so-and-so playing live or something? It's like, it's actually not that far. It's about an hour and a half, tops 2 hours to get there. I'd say about 2 hours, which isn't too bad. If there's something I really wanted to go see there, it wouldn't be too bad to go visit and come home the same night, because the first time me and a friend Todd visited Blairstown, we literally did it in the same day in a few hours. So it's not hard. I just now make it into a day trip. So anyway, when we were there, I did pick up a lot of trinkets from the museum. They thank me every time I buy stuff from them. And even from the campground, I bought like a T-shirt and, believe it or not, a big, large can of popcorn, which they said they were going to mail to me, which I never got. So I don't know. It's only been a week, so who knows? Maybe it takes a while. But that money, all those proceeds from the museum and from the campgrounds, that all that money goes back into the restoration of both the campground and also the sites in Blairstown. So the money goes back, the proceeds go back into like the town itself and into that campground for the kids. So I don't kind of mind that. Like, I'm not a big fan of donating money, but if there's something that I'm going to get in return, I'm definitely going to do it. And if it's something that I'm getting in return and something I really enjoyed, gives me entertainment, gives me pleasure, even a slasher movie like that, I don't mind giving some money, because I really do enjoy those horror movies. Because I don't know, I mean, I always tell people it's the same thing, but they seem to have more of an impact. The same way, I guess, probably when my parents grew up, like watching Frankenstein, Dracula, and Creature from the Black Lagoon. They were big things back then. So our generation has grown up with Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, and I'm missing one. I know I am. Freddy Krueger. But out of all of them, honestly, my favorite still, amongst everybody else's favorite, it seems like, 'cause there are a lot of people who are big fans, is Jason Voorhees. For some reason, we just seem to love him. Why, I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of weird, but it's just one of those things. So I'm looking at him now. I got a deck of Friday the 13th cards, some little hockey mask soap bars. They're like in shape of little hockey pucks. No, little hockey mask, Jason Voorhees hockey mask. They're white soap because, the mask is white. And then I got this stone. I was like going to town buying stuff. The last time I was here, I bought, which they didn't have this time, and I bought some marshmallow pops, which I bought one for my friend Todd and then one for my mom. And she ate it the first night. I brought it home the next day, actually. So I never tasted one yet, but they're marshmallow pops. They're homemade or whatever from a gourmet shop around town in Blairstown. And they have the Jason Voorhees mask on her. My mom said it was really good. I've never had one. And I forgot to call, but I was going to call and say, hey, can you kind of ship those out? Because my mother really liked them. I wanted to taste it. Now I never had a chance to eat one of them. So I got like little trinkets like that. The last time I got Blairstown history book on Friday the 13th. So, all that stuff you buy, the money goes right back into that town. So that's pretty nice. You put, those people don't have a lot of money, so I give them a lot of money, but they don't. Otherwise, if it wasn't for people like myself, they probably wouldn't be able to stay in business. But they've learned over the years. I mean, it's taken them 37 years. There's a lot of money to be made by just promoting the Friday the 13th movie. So it's kind of funny because when Sean Cunningham shot that film, I'm sure he didn't expect it to go this far or become like a part of history in film work, because the movie didn't really get taken that well when it first came out. Like, it was considered a pretty bad movie, even the first one. But now it's like the Rocky Horror Picture. It's like it really draws people into this small town, because they want to see where everything started, which was in a small town that nobody knew existed until just recently, the last couple of years, that somebody actually came up with the idea, hey, we better start, let's see what we can do if we kind of promote the fact that this is where they shot the first movie. So that actually, and going on the campground, by the way, and then watching the film again just meant a whole, I even wrote them something and they never responded back, though. The people who run this tour, but I said it just added a whole new level of appreciation for this film, because like you can say, hey, I was in that camp cabin. I was here where 37 years ago, they shot this film. And if you're a person in MTV, you got to see that as well, where they shot the show called Fear. So, hey, I don't mind, because I was going to do a show last Friday the 13th on this, and I did not, or that weekend. So I spent most of my time on that. It was an interesting week. I've been working a lot of overtime, so I've been kind of burned out. I slept most of the weekend. I appreciate my friend going and taking me out last night for Friday. The week after Friday the 13th, I should say. What was that, like the 20th, 21st? So I thank him for that. It was a hectic week because, I worked last week every single day overtime, which I don't mind because I can pay bills off now. I've been paying off big chunks of my bills. But then I also had the aggravation. My dad, for some reason last week, he broke not one but two of his computers. Now, when I mean break, he doesn't physically break them, but he messes up on the software, and he says it's a virus. So it's kind of funny. I told a friend I bought my parents this thing called a Roku, I think it's called, and I got them one that was refurbished or whatever for my parents, and it didn't work. I got it from Amazon, so it's great, because I told Amazon, hey, this, what you send me as a refurb does not work. So what am I going to do? I'm like shit out of luck. And they were cool about it. So what they ended up doing was they end up like, okay, well, hey, that's no problem to send it back. We're giving you your money, and they gave me my money back as soon as I dropped it off at a UPS store, because that's the way I sent it back. And they gave me everything back. So I got my parents a brand new one, and they loved that. So I think it had taken less than 24 hours. My dad actually messed that up too. He had. The thing did not work, the Roku. And he said, yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's not working. Because there's different networks. There's something I always recommend. It's called Pluto TV. And they said, oh, we now got an app for Roku. I was like, oh, great. Because my parents have an old set. It uses RCA jacks. And it's really hard because most of the stuff that runs over the internet requires HDMI if you want to run it on your TV set. So it was like, okay, this kind of sucks. But then Roku put something out that runs on RCA jacks. I was like, wow, this is really good. So I hooked it up. It was like the one night I actually worked until, I think it was 6 or 7 in the morning. And it was like, let me hook this up. And I hooked it up. It was like, wow, it actually does work. It's really impressive. The only thing I have a problem with Roku is that the fact that there's no way to turn it off. So it basically just stays on all the time. It does not take that much electricity. They said it's very little. But at the same time, I just don't feel comfortable. But whatever, as long as they say it's not gonna, it's not a big deal on as far as the amount of electricity it uses. So not a big deal, but I hooked it up the first night. I was actually watching stuff for the first time on my parents' set. It was like, wow, I can watch, like, on Pluto, there's this thing called Horror 24/7. That's why I bought it for my mom, because she loves horror movies. She got me into horror movies. And it was like, okay. There was 2 horror networks on television on our Verizon internet. Well, the problem was, though, they removed both of them now. So there's no horror networks on Verizon Fios. So, yeah, because of that, I figured, well, I'll get my mom, since they actually sent me the advertisement, this Roku. They said, oh yeah, now Roku has a new thing. For some reason, it was like like an email, I think, or something. Now we make one that's actually good for, people with old TV sets. And it was like, wow, this is great. And I read the reviews, and people said, yeah, it's good. It's like, well, this is kind of hard to believe. You're running it through an RCA jack to your TV set, so you're really going to lose quality, but it really actually works. So, but I hooked it up, and it, like, actually worked good for one day, and then I called, like, because I was working every day, literally this week, until early in the morning, and I get a call from my dad, and he says, yeah, something's wrong. That Roku thing does not work. It's like, I was waiting. I hate to say this, but I was waiting for him to say, oh, yeah, the Roku box, which is like the size of your finger, literally, the box. I was waiting for him to say, well, it's got a virus, because his thing is, her breaks something. God love the man. Her breaks something, and then he says, oh, yeah, it's because it's not because of me. It's because I got a virus. And I don't know how. So my one friend, God love you, dude, but I thought that was funny. So, but my one friend Matt said, he says, you think maybe he could possibly get viruses? And he said maybe the reason he may be getting viruses, maybe he's hitting like some of these, pretty much adult websites, and it's like, you know what? I don't know, but that's actually pretty funny. So yeah, I love that one. I got to give you credit for that idea. Oh, well, that reminds me, I'm going to run out of time. I'm going to actually go over an hour tonight, because I do want to play that Ken Matthews thing as the last part of the night. And I did tell Matt, hey, Matt, I'm going to talk about this. But after we saw the film, I totally forgot about this. And by the way, I asked my parents, because it's like it's 11:30. I said, now, you're not going to be talking to me while I'm doing a show. Not going to be really loud or slamming doors. So I can hear it in the background, the foreground. I can hear them doing exactly what I told them, please do not do. So it's nothing new. So last night, Matt, my friend Matt, hopefully he doesn't mind. Sorry, I'm looking at some picture or video on line where a person literally has maggots inside their tongue, and it's for real. It's the most gross thing I saw on Facebook. They literally have maggots inside their tongue. Yeah, my dad's talking extremely loud. So my friend Matt, he said, hey, I want to do something. It was like, oh no, it's nothing dirty or kinky, is it? Or, that you're going to take me to go see, like a porn place or something. I'm like, didn't want to see that. And because that's what's going in the back of my mind. And he made a joke about it. He's like, no, I'm going to turn on his phone right now, or last night, his thing for Lyft. So he did the Lyft thing, and it was like, in the back of my mind, he thought I was getting annoyed by it. And then he did get 2 calls, by the way, for Lyft. And it's like, dude, that's the last thing. I told him later on, I said, no, that wasn't my concern. My concern was, if I'm not in control of where we're going, or I'm not the one driving, right away, I'm always afraid that I have to go to the bathroom, like have a diarrhea attack, or have to take a number one, have to pee. And it just seems like it happens every time. It's like I've had these accidents or near miss accidents, I should say. And I'm just afraid, okay, dude, if you have to pick somebody up and they say, I need you to take me down to Philadelphia, well, you have to do it. You have no choice. So, okay, I'm getting creeped out right now, by the way, on something else, but I'll explain in a minute. So that's the thing in the back of my mind. I'm just really afraid I'll have to go to the bathroom. You're giving somebody a ride. They're going to be pissed at me, no puns intended, because they're paying for this ride. And the clock is running when he picks them up because he's got a Lyft program and they got a Lyft program, but he's the designated driver. So we picked up one person, not a big deal, wasn't that far. And, it was like from the train station down to like a block or so away from their house. So it was like, okay, that's not too bad. And it was like, well, right after he did that, another person needed to be picked up. And what was I going to say? So the second person was actually kind of very annoying to Matt. I said, dude, I'm going to talk about this because to me, it's a new experience. But I kind of enjoyed it, but they thought the guys that he picked, it was two guys he picked up from a bar, and they thought I was getting annoyed, and Matt thought I was annoyed. It was like, no, actually, it's not that. Again, my concern was that I would have to go to the bathroom. And it's like, how do you tell these people, okay, I know you're in the middle of paying for a ride because, we're like a glorified taxi. But right now, I gotta make a pit stop and go to the bathroom. So that's what's in the back of my mind. But in their eyes, they see me like, because the one guy actually said this. He said, dude, I can tell you were getting really annoyed. It's like, no, I actually was not getting annoyed. I was just afraid I would, I'm afraid to say, because I have this compulsion when I'm not in control that I feel the urge to go to the bathroom. And sometimes it actually is that I have to go to the bathroom. So that was kind of funny. But the second group was these two guys. They work at a recording studio in Norristown. So that was really cool. And like I said, Matt was getting annoyed because, I got to give him kudos. I'm glad they did this. But, it was a recording studio. Matt knew where it was. I have no clue. And these guys said they put in for a Lyft ride. Matt picked him up. He was the closest one to him. It was a bar and a, what do you call it? A place you can see live bands down in Bridgeport. So it was like, okay. So and the guys were pretty cool. They were but the thing was, I appreciated that, I'd rather see them do this, more people do this stuff, is because they smelled really strong of alcohol. So the point is, though, at least they were smart enough. It's like, hey, we're going to be drinking, so we're not going to drive. We're going to and we're not going to even walk on the road stone drunk. We're going to get somebody to pick us up after, we're going to get I assume, they probably had somebody drop them off from Lyft and then put in for a ride once they were done. And it's like, you know what? I can see why they would do that. I think that's really smart. And I give them kudos for that. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Because they were smart enough, like, hey, we're planning to get a little bit sloshed, so to play it safe, we're just going to call Lyft. We're paying the money not to endanger our lives or anybody else's. So that being said, I think that was really clever of them, and I think that was a good idea. And I appreciate that. Now, Matt didn't, but I appreciate that fact. What was the other thing, though? The other thing was when they got in, like, again, they were starting talking. They were a little loud because they had quite a bit of alcohol in them. So the guy says, hey, do you mind, like, we want to stop by and make 2 pit stops. And Matt said, well, you didn't put it in the Lyft. You need to put it in. I'll still get paid, but it shows that I've actually made 3 destinations, not just one on what you had requested. So I don't know how that works. But it was like, so I can't really say. The guy said, hey, we'll just pay you cash for the difference for, the problem of, taking us around. And Matt said, don't worry about it. So I don't know how that works. I honestly don't know how the whole Lyft thing works. But again, I guess if I had this enough times, I even told my friend Matt, if I had this enough times, that I would probably get annoyed too by this, but last night, since it was like my first experience, it didn't really bother me that much. In fact, I found it quite entertaining to say the least. So, but these guys actually, these guys work. You know, one guy was 22, the other guy looked a lot older, but he has head shaved, and they were in like different rock bands. I can't remember. I'd have to ask Matt again. He just seemed very annoyed by the whole thing. And they actually mentioned like bands that I listen to. I don't listen to a lot of metal, but they did mention quite a few metal bands they open up for, at least one, and some other stuff. So that part was pretty cool. And, you know, and Matt's right. Yeah, I get kind of starstruck when I meet people that are, you know, celebrity type people, even if they're people I don't know. Just the fact that they got a little bit of celebrity, what do you call it? I can't even think of the right word. So it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. And I told him, I said, yeah, this would actually be a good idea if you. And Matt says people do that where they put a webcam in there, but I think you actually have to ask permission. But I said to him, I said, that'd be kind of cool to like just kind of film some of these people, because it seems like you must get some pretty interesting people that you pick up. And because there's that show, I think it, what is it called? Cabby Driver or something, or there was a thing on HBO called Cab Driver Confessions or something. But this one guy, he just drives around in his cab. He does have a video camera or a cam in there, and his whole thing is it's a show where he basically they take the best of whatever he picks up, people he picks up, and he films them, and it's a TV show. And I said, well, you could kind of do that on YouTube or something. You know, you could kind of like, but I would think you would have to get their permission, because they're actually, you know, requesting a service. And if you're recording them, I think you'd have to get their permission to, you know, for the okay for that. So I'm not sure. I would think that's the case though, because I know like on certain places, if they record you, you have to sign a release form too, saying it's okay, you're not going to come back and sue us or something like that. But maybe this is different. I don't know how it works, honestly. But I said to him, I said, that probably would be a kind of a good idea. You know, just but then you would have to ask everybody you pick up, hey, you don't mind if I record you? Because I might actually, if I find this, noteworthy, I might come back and use it for a segment on YouTube. I don't know. I'm just saying. So, but the two guys that were, one guy said he was and younger guy was an engineer. I think they both were, but the one guy also said he was a drummer in a band. And I believe he said he opened up for Korn. So, to me, I thought that was really cool, because I swear to God, I'm not making this up. I apologize for swearing now. But I was actually right on the tip of my fingers to pull my credit card out and buying a meet and greet for Korn and meeting those guys, because I kind of like the band. I don't really own any of their stuff. It'd just be one of those cool things to meet those guys from Korn. So and this one guy we picked up, he actually did say then, he said, oh yeah, we opened up for Korn. So, and he was a drummer, because you do get like I guess they're called roadies, and they come out, and you don't have the regular drummer, which I've seen different tours I've gone to, that you don't have your regular drummer. You might have somebody else who is filling in as a drummer on, you know, while you're doing the, you know, touring. So my guess is this guy who's a drummer for this band, I forget what he said the name was. Maybe that's like what this is. Maybe this is like this guy is like a roadie person. He says he does have a band. He does tour and open up for different bands. He mentioned them, and I honestly can't remember him at this point which ones he said, because he did mention like I said, Korn, Slipknot, I forget some of the metal bands that I remember. I worked at a novelty store and we had the T-shirts for these different bands, and he mentioned them like he knows these people. So, and he mentioned something about some woman who was a porn star that he's really good friends with, which he said he never saw her in any of her porn, which I believe. Like, if I was friends with some girl, I kind of would be weirded out seeing her totally nude, like screwing different guys. I think it would kind of weird me out as well. So the guy says, I just don't, like, I go out of the way not to check out those porns with her. It just would kind of be weird. And I can't remember who it was. I told this friend, and I was so vague on all the information. Without Matt here, I can't really give a clear cut of I can't give the precise information that was being discussed last night. But I mean, overall, they wanted to stop by a McDonald's in Norristown, which was kind of shady. Why guys wanted to do that? They could have walked there too as well, but they wanted to basically just, they were willing to pay to have somebody pick them up and take them there, so that was fine. And then they also wanted to go to a Wawa in Bridgeport, which both areas were both pretty shady too. I don't know why those guys wanted to do that. But again, the one guy, both of them said they do travel quite a bit back and forth, but they live in Norristown. Travel back and forth to California, and I thought that was like actually pretty cool. I thought listening to them talk was actually really cool. Now, again, my friend Matt, he was just getting a little bit irritated by it, probably a lot. Which I don't blame him. If I was doing this as much as he does, on the road all the time, picking up different people, you get to the point that they just kind of get on your nerves. So I'm not saying, hey, dude, based on what I'm trying to say is I understand, even though I don't know what you're going through, but I know for a fact if after a while, anyone, I don't care who it is, will get on your nerves. And if you constantly picking up people, it doesn't matter who it is, when you're doing it all the time, and he works full time too, it just becomes very, very irritating. So one last thing before I play, because it's actually 7 minutes after. I didn't think I would be able to talk this long. I guess I can. I mean, it should be no shock. But, yeah, we're at the movie theater because I told Matt, I let him know ahead of time I'll be talking about you, so he's not surprised. And it was funny because both my friend Matt and my friend Todd were both, like, doing what I called the Walter, where I'm always complaining about people, but they were doing it. So my friend Todd, first off, because I'm going to go back to him real quick, Todd, he called me the other day and he said, yeah, I was actually really pissed off because I was just ready to leave work, and I stayed behind a little bit to help out a fellow boss trying to get something. He works at a place called Staples, my friend Todd, and right now. And he said that, yeah, I was just trying to help out a fellow boss. She said, hey, can you help me get this thing ready to ship out because somebody ordered something online, and it's going to get shipped from our store. And he said, yeah, no problem. So he got stopped by a customer the very last second. I've had this experience. The very last second, and some customer came to him and said, hey, can you help me with something? And my friend Todd said he mentioned to me, well, I can't help you this minute because I'm in the middle of doing something right now. And he said before he could tell the guy, it was a guy, but I will help you in a minute. Before he could get that far, I will help you in a minute, though. He said, the guy said, well, go fuck yourself. Can you believe that? The guy actually said, go fuck yourself. So I left a message for my friend Todd even. I said, you know what, dude, this is why I don't work retail. I used to. I mean, hopefully I won't have to do it for a very long time or ever again, because I told him when I used to work retail, I actually got to the point, like one job I worked at, my one boss, his name was Matt Kuntosh. He realized I can't work with people public, because if they mouth off to me, I will mouth off back. I won't even fight the fact that, hey, if you're an asshole to me, just because you're a customer, I'm not going to let you get away with it. I'm sorry. I'm going to talk back to you. So I would do that. Like, I worked at this place called the Great Train Store. I would just mouth back off to people. Or if they were really sarcastic and being a smart ass, I would say something really smart ass back to them. So it got to the point, though, where this guy, Matt Kuntosh, said, well, you can't work with people. I'm going to put you in the back so you won't be on the floor at all. You're going to be working stock, you're bringing stock products up. You're going to be cleaning the warehouse, our not warehouse, the place we stored stuff. It's equivalent to a warehouse, but you're not going to be on the floor because you don't know how to work with people. It's like, dude, you're not saying anything that I don't know, and you're not threatening me. I actually would prefer to have it that way because I don't like people. I'm not a, what do you call it? I'm trying to think of the proper word. I'm not a misanthrope, even though with some of the assholes in our society, it wouldn't be hard not to be one. But at the same time, I just don't deal with people's bullshit without giving it back. If you want to be a prick to me, I'll be a prick to you. No problem. So bottom line is, going back to Todd, hey, I know how you feel about that because I'm the same way. That's why I complain a lot about people, because I just don't deal with idiots or stupidity very well. It's just a fact. So that's number one. And then 2 was with Matt. He actually had a problem, which I complain about a lot, but for some reason, I guess I was just so damn tired. When he went to the Colonial Theater, which I should have mentioned this earlier, but I didn't. We're in there, and this is something, by the way, I complain about on a constant basis, where people act like children as adults. I mean, how many times have I complained about this in real life and on my podcast, where people just act like idiots? They act, they don't grow up. I've said this a million times. They basically literally act like children, and it annoys me. Like, you got adults who act like 5-year-olds. And it's the truth. So, yeah, so saying that, last night he was saying pretty much almost the same thing. Like, Walter, I can't believe, these were grown adults, are not children, but they're acting like children, and they're probably not that much younger than us. And one was a couple. So I had a laugh about that. I had a laugh about that because, here I'm talking about this stuff all the time. And now that he is, it just, kind of like, okay, so I'm not alone about that. And I actually kind of had a laugh a little bit inside because, now there's finally somebody else who kind of sees eye to eye with me. It's not just Walter just complaining on a daily basis about everyone and everything. It's like other people see that, they don't realize it, but they're complaining about the exact same thing I do. So, anyway, so that was my highlight for this weekend as well. It is actually 1 hour and 13 minutes. So that being said, 13 comes up again. I'm going to try to play the Ken Matthews. There are some other things I wanted to say about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, but I think I said a lot. So there was little things in that, going back to that for one split second, that they kind of put like little tongue-in-cheek things in there, superstitious tongue-in-cheek things. Like room number 6, I think it was, or room number 13. But they put obviously they were like little seeded Easter eggs, so to speak, in Halloween Season of the Witch with those numbers, poking fun on, that, whole thing on a Halloween scare tactic. Anyway, right now I'm going to play I'm going to incorporate the Ken Matthews, and it is the whole third hour was incredible on Friday's show. But the part I actually wanted to pull was on this board game called Secret Hitler, which you can buy from Amazon, by the way. So here you go. Here goes Ken Matthews talking about this game I didn't even know existed.
News Radio, WHP. I'm getting an echo in the headphones back in the studio. Producer, there you go. News Radio, WHP 580, 717-540-0580 is the number. All right, now, we just were talking about Secret Hitler, the game Secret Hitler. By the way, I'm still hearing the music, JC, in my headphones. There we go, thank you. Secret Hitler, Matt just called and talked about the game. He had played it at a party recently this weekend. And what it is, it's a game that divides people into two categories. You're either a liberal, which, according to the media and many schools, the world, you're wonderful, or you're a fascist, which is the rest of us. And it's interesting. It's entertaining. I haven't played it. I'm now learning about it. I saw it on Amazon, so now I'm pretending I'm going to buy it. So they're telling me all about it. It is part of Kickstarter. In other words, this edition is identical to the edition of Secret Hitler that shipped to Kickstarter backers in 2016, the election year. All right, what is Kickstarter? Kickstarter is an American public benefit corporation. Boy, is that propaganda or what? American public benefit. You get to decide what's American, who and what's public, and who and how benefits. Anyway, it's based in Brooklyn, New York, and it maintains a global crowdfunding platform focused on creativity. The company's stated mission is to help bring creative projects to life, according to Slickopedia, which is worthless. But that's all I brought up Wikipedia for just a minute. Okay. The thing I want to point out to you is the Secret Hitler board game, which Matt played over the weekend, where he was outnumbered like 8 or 9 to 3 or 8 to 2, liberals versus conservatives. Little did Matt know he actually outnumbered them in brain power, but the game wasn't set up that way. Okay? They added something called the Trump Pack. The Trump Pack added 5 new secret role cards to the hit party game Secret Hitler. Here are your role-playing cards: Spicer, Miller, Trump, and Pence, and Bannon. Those are your secret fascist cards. You see where we're going with this? Yes. You see? And it's funny. The Trump Pack includes a bonus Mike Pence card suitable for use in case of impeachment or resignation, etc. The Trump Pack are merely cosmetic update to the fascist. Core mechanics like loyalty testing, election meddling, and blame shifting remain unchanged. They are creative. This is entertaining. It's based on a fallacy, but that's never stopped liberals before. Most of leftist ideology is based on a fallacy. That doesn't mean they're not entertaining. That doesn't mean they're not, the majority of artists worldwide lean left. And some of their art is riveting and entertaining, but a lot of it's based on a fallacy. The classic piece of artwork that came from a photograph of Che Guevara, who was a butcher. He was a butcher. And if you disagreed with Che Guevara, you would be hung upside down in a cold, dark basement, naked, by wires, and you would be tortured, beaten with a club, and taped. And they would show that as propaganda. But that doesn't stop smoking hot models from wearing Che Guevara T-shirts, and I'm sure it doesn't stop morons from playing the Secret Hitler game. Oh, I got the Bannon card. He's like a Nazi. We get it. It's entertaining. Let's see. I already own Secret Hitler. Can I buy the wood box as a standalone item? They have an upgraded. By the way, it's $35. And you can get the limited edition wood box. This edition includes the standard edition delivered inside the premium wooden case with brass hardware originally produced for the Kickstarter. These are the extras. Once they're gone, we're not making any more. So at every single level, it's not just some idiot like Frederica Wilson, some congresswoman in Florida that keeps rotating cowboy hats because she loves herself and she's a grandstanding race baiter, Trump hater. It's everywhere. It's the game industry. It's the news media. It's Hollywood. It's television. It's the music industry. Anywhere they can try to get a toehold. This has been so devastating to the left. And this is all part of it. But I got to tell you, it's a very attractive-looking package, the Secret Hitler game. But again, the whole concept of it is kind of funny. I mean, it almost sounds like something you'd see on Comedy Central, you know. Just in time for Christmas, it's Secret Hitler. There's the liberals and the fascists. The sad thing about it is Democrats think that way. Many Democrats believe that. They believe that, well, I'm a liberal and I'm for green, you know, green energy and no smoking, and they never learn that the further you go left, the more green you get. Hitler was all about green. He was all about, you know, the food thing. He wouldn't let his captain smoke. It's crazy when you read real fascism, real Nazism, real socialism, real communism. When you read the real history of it and compare it to what's happening now in the United States on the left. If you don't read the real history of it, and your education stops when Matt Lauer says, "Oh, well, you're just being a Nazi," well, then you're a fool. But when you read what Hitler wanted to do, the universal health care, everybody gets a car, we control education, we control art galleries, we control the content of speech, we'll be checking the books to make sure that no one in the Reich is insulted. That's all left. That's all Democrat stuff. That's all Democrat stuff. Not one time talking to Matt or now sharing that game with you did I say, they ought to sue the company. I want you to boycott. I actually complimented the game. But I'm just giving you a little heads up. You know, if your 19-year-old who's got 2 years invested at Penn State is now going to be playing this game, don't be surprised if they come home dumber than they might already be, having voted for Hillary twice or Obama once or whatever. Not that a 19-year-old could do that, but it wouldn't surprise me if there were 10-year-old voters in Philly, because it always seems that the leftist votes outnumber the people in the district. But, again, 800-724-5801.
Okay, hey, it's Walter again. Yeah, I hope you liked that. And you know what? I forgot. There was a segment I was actually sending a text to somebody, and it came up on the recording on my main computer. So I apologize about that. Now, that crappy, sounds like you're under a fishbowl sound is actually the recording that Ken Matthews has up from his radio show. So I don't know what it is, but like I said, he's a little bit, that's not his fault, but I'm just saying in general, his stuff sounds really bad. He just has a lot of good information. Like, the guy's got to be pretty new, and the people that work for him are pretty new, so the recordings are usually really bad. He's made a lot of mistakes. It's just I do like the way he does otherwise, you know, mention things, and he's more on a level I can understand, and he's very conservative, which I enjoy. But when I was listening to that, because I was trying to listen to it as I was doing some other stuff in the background, I did find a bunch of stuff I totally forgot about. So this might go on for another half an hour, so I apologize. And one of the things I dug up on my Facebook, which I forgot, I sent it to a friend, and it just dawned on me, was I've heard about this, and then somebody actually posted it on Facebook, is the scandals with Hillary Clinton. So I might piss off a few people that listen to me, which isn't that many, but it was like I just did it, had made a rip of this audio. It was actually a video, but I made it into an audio of clips about the scandals with Hillary Clinton. So I do want to actually incorporate that. I apologize again because this show is going to be a lot longer, but I haven't done one in such a long time, and it might be even longer yet before I do another one. So let me play this next. And like I said, it's not my side. I'm in my defense with that recording with Ken Matthews. His stuff always sounds pretty bad, and I hate to say it, even Bill O'Reilly's, because he's actually just dipped his feet into the podcast universe. Now, I actually read something which was on AOL, which I don't put a lot of faith into, but it sounds like that he may be going back to Bill O'Reilly. He might be going back to Fox News once again, which I kind of sucked for me because honestly, for the first time was able to listen to Bill O'Reilly. But somebody said they actually been listening to his podcast for almost 6 years or so. So he must have been doing this for a while in addition to doing television, TV shows. But I hope he does not stop doing his podcast because I actually rather listen to him on that I can listen to him at my own convenience as opposed to where it's impossible for me to try to get him on Fox because, I don't know how to do I don't own a TiVo and stuff like that. Anyway, let me incorporate right now this thing from Hillary Clinton. So it's 2 minutes. It's not 8, so that's going to be good. And the sound's not that great, but it's not going to be as bad, I don't think, as the one from Hillary. So here we go.
Remember John F. Kennedy Jr.? He was declared the frontrunner for the New York Senate seat back in 1999. Days later, his plane crashed into the Atlantic Ocean, and his rival, Hillary Clinton, was elected senator. Mary Mahoney was a Clinton White House intern. She knew enough of the inner workings of Bill's sexual advancements to be a star witness during the Clinton impeachment trials. She was brutally executed at a Starbucks she was managing in 1997. In 1993, White House counsel Vince Foster was found dead in Fort Marcy Park near D.C. He supposedly killed himself, and among a lengthy list of potential foul play, the bullet was never found. Then there's James McDougal, a key witness for White House prosecutors. He was serving his 3-year sentence for bank fraud at the Fort Worth Federal Medical Center in Texas. And just before he was to give a testimony before the grand jury, McDougal suffered a heart attack in solitary confinement. In 2015, Walter Scheib, a White House chef hired under Bill Clinton, joined the list. His body was found at the bottom of a river, nearly 2 miles from the base of the trail he was reportedly hiking. An autopsy determined that Scheib's death was accidental drowning, but he might have known too much. 27-year-old Democratic National Committee staffer Seth Rich was shot and killed in D.C. this year. There is speculation that he was the source of the controversial leaked emails allegedly sent by DNC staffers, and that he may have been murdered in retaliation. Then Sean Lucas, the lead attorney in a fraud case against the DNC, was found lying on the bathroom floor by his girlfriend when she returned home on August 2nd. His death was reported classified, pending the results of an autopsy. To this day, questions remain.
Okay, so that was a little bit louder, unfortunately. And it's difficult because I use that Audacity. There is a way you can probably adjust the sound, but there's other people who do shittier shows than I do, sound quality-wise, so I'm not going to really worry about the 1 or 2 people who listen to me. They can just adjust their volume on the radio or whatever they listen to it on. But I thought that was really cool. Well, it's not cool, but I think it's very interesting. How's that? So I totally forgot about that until I just remembered it now, right? Always at the end of my show, there's always like all this stuff. It's like, oh, I wish I would have put it in my podcast. I wish I would have put it in my podcast. So I did it this time. And one of the other things that came up was, it was a thing on Facebook. It said, watch woman bites cop during an arrest. And they show the bite mark. Well, it's infected too. It says test of her saliva reveals disturbing truth. Basically, this woman has HIV. She's HIV positive. So, this is the stuff you got to worry about, because I remember reading something similar where somebody had some type of, what do you call it? Some type, what is it called? HPV or whatever. And he or she had spat on a policewoman, and a woman got severely sick, a really young woman too, a policewoman, and she died. Sorry about that. So it says, it says that this happened on October. Well, this was today, actually, or yesterday now, because it is now Sunday. So it happened just a few hours ago. Yeah, I mean, there's some really disturbing things that you will find or see and whatever. There's always, I put different stuff on my Facebook, but that one in particular, yeah, that was quite, I know there's some woman I have on my Facebook. She is a police officer of some sort or whatever. I'm some sort, but and she posts a lot of things. I don't think this was from her. And when I read the stuff, my heart goes out for these people, men and women who are police officers, and the bullshit they got to take up with on a daily basis. So I would have totally forgot about this. Ken Matthews actually mentioned that. I remember it. It goes further back than what I'm looking at right now, because I'm looking at something from Ken Matthews on his Facebook page. He said somewhere in Pennsylvania, they're not going to be able to, like the little kids and their school will not be able to celebrate Halloween. It's now be called Black and Orange Day because some people find that offensive. So, I mean, that is like pathetic. Anyway, one thing that he had posted said police report says teacher violently assaulted after school hit with a brick in the face. Like the school teacher was hit by a brick in the face. So, I mean, there's just so much really bad stuff you always read. There was one police report says man shot daughter's boyfriend and groined at a motel. I hate to say it, if I was a father and with these daughters, the way they act and dress, because I have some friends who have daughters and stuff. Lucky he only shot him in the groin and not ripped it off because, dude, you're not going to put that in my daughter. I'm being a little bit sarcastic there, but yeah, I can't say much about that because I don't have any kids, but I'm just saying I think I'd have to take the side of the parent that's a father or mother with the daughter because these girls, I was out later tonight and the way these girls just act and dress is just so inappropriate, and there's nobody there to stop them because the parents are trying to be friends to their kids, not actually being parents. So, that goes a whole different, another podcast right there. Anyway, it was funny. I'm just going to read through a couple of these and try to make it maybe at least an hour and a half, not two, but who knows. But there was a funny story from the New York Post. It was just posted the other day. Man hides in woods for 10 years to escape his nagging wife. A British man ran away from his home and lived in the woods for 10 years, all because his wife was nagging him too much. So a friend made a sarcastic remark about that. I thought it personally was funny. Oh, and by the way, I haven't watched this yet, but I'm going to look at it real quick right now. But if you go to Bloody Disgusting, they have the first glimpse, which this I'll actually watch. There's a couple shows on Netflix I was going to watch. I never bothered to do so. These superhero shows. Well, now they actually have an official, it says this November, which is only a couple weeks away again, is a trailer for The Punisher. So the truth must be taken. So that actually has got my interest because that particular actor who used to be on The Walking Dead, I really had no interest in watching Walking Dead, and especially of this particular actor, who now is playing, The Punisher. But he did such a fantastic job, by the way. I now actually want to watch at least that. Out of all the shows I can watch on Netflix, if I had time, this will be one I will make time to watch. One of my favorites, one person I have a love fetish for recently is Margot Robbie. I can't pronounce her name ever right. She played Harley Quinn. She played somebody when I was a kid. I swear I must have had blisters on my hands because she was fugly in the face, but there was something about her I liked. So two of the women that were of Kleenex material are going to be in the same film, so to speak. Bottom line is, I'm not doing a very good job of explaining myself, but Margot Robbie is going to be playing Tanya Hardin in a comedy spoof kind of movie on Tanya Hardin. So, I literally had magazine shots, for lack of a better word, spank material, of Tanya Hardin. So, she was kind of gritty and rough, but in that little leotard outfit with her ass cheeks hanging out. When I was a little kid, I used to, kind of use that as bathroom material, to say the least, and not to wipe my ass with. So, and Margot Robbie has an incredible butt. So, the fact that she is, because they show shots of her butt cheeks, because that was the big thing with Margot Robbie, who is Australian, who does a very good job of covering up her Australian accent. And they say, and the pictures do prove it, she does not look like herself, Margaret Robbie, or whatever. She really looks like Tanya Hardin, to the point it's like kind of scary, so to speak. So, I'll have up-to-date, being sarcastic, not to offend anybody, new spank material. Being sarcastic, because I love Margot Robbie, and she's an incredible-looking Australian actress who's hot. Seeing her play, though, sorry, I'm laughing at some of the stuff I have on my Facebook page. One person puts up some really, really funny comments. But what was I going to say? I just am really shocked. And there's more trash pictures and an article from somewhere, and I just can't believe this. I'm looking again through my Facebook page. She has become like the epitome, the poster child for white trash is Bella Thorne. They got some pictures of her being braless. And I hate to say it, it almost looks like she's got implants, and she's like 19, I guess, now. But she was a Disney poster child for, to replace. They brought her aboard, Bella Thorne, and this other actress who actually has kept a clean nose and still works for Disney, who, this other actress who actually played in Spider-Man, had taken the high road. She's a black actress who played in Spider-Man. Who, again, has taken the high road. She's not taken the, let's be pine scum, like Bella Thorne has become. But those two were on a show called Shake It Up or something, and they were supposed to bring back some, of the norm and cleanliness, so to speak, in Disney shows when they were 12 years old to replace... at that time, to replace Miley Cyrus, who just became a real piece of garbage up until now. So Bella Thorne, though, has actually surpassed, if that's possible, of being a real piece of shit, has surpassed Miley's lows. So it's kind of weird. So anyway, just a little bit of a side note again. I'm actually almost going to hit an hour and 40 minutes, believe it or not, which is not shocking for me. Some of the other stories I had on my Facebook just recently, the past week. Some article, somebody posted, and I, shared it. 84 children rescued, 120 human traffickers arrested across U.S., FBI say. Operation Cross Country XI or XL focused on the single goal, taking out pimps who run human trafficking rings, their FBI had mentioned. So I didn't even know. I did see something in Norristown, actually, that did mention about cutting back on human trafficking. And I'm sorry to say, I really can't believe, even in this part, where I live outside of Norristown, that such nonsense is going on. But apparently it is. So I don't know why. So I'm just looking real quick. Yeah, I did post that on Bill O'Reilly on my Facebook page. It says Fox, they twist what actually is going on, AOL does. So they're very left on their news to the point that I really rather not look at it, but it caught my eye. So I am going to read it, the title, and it says Fox renewed Bill O'Reilly's contract despite knowledge of his new sexual harassment settlement. It says longtime network analyst Liz Werner, I think it is, or something, accused the primetime host of repeated harassment, a nonsensical sexual relationship, and sending gay pornography, which is all basically, in my terms, total bullshit, because this woman has made accusations with other people and or found out that she was lying about it. So I'm sorry to say. Yeah, there's other articles. I'm looking at one right now, just really appalling. It's very upsetting, but I posted it like 5 hours ago, it said, where these foreign people are like picking up their child and having him steal things out of those Goodwill boxes. The boxes you put your clothes in for other people who need them? Well, they like literally lift it. I'm watching because it's a video. They lift the kid. They dump him inside this thing that's like an oversized mailbox. And he's literally, the parents are having the kid take all the clothes out of the stuff you donate your clothes to. And I wouldn't be surprised if that stuff happens around here. Bottom line is, though, it's very disturbing and it's very upsetting because I like to think when I give clothes to people, because I do give a lot of clothes away that I buy, because I buy an awful lot of stuff, that this stuff is going to people who really need it and don't have that much money. I don't want to think I'm just basically putting stuff in these boxes and stuff's getting stolen because they don't even want to pay like a few dollars for stuff, because that money goes, there's the proceeds of the stuff they sell at Goodwill in these consignment shops. Actually, I hope is going to help people in need. But if you're stealing this stuff, nobody's going to get the money. Or, it's not going to actually do what it's supposed to be doing. So, yeah, so that's like kind of upsetting. On a funny note, because I'm going to kind of let it go almost, I'll take one more sweep. But if you want to see something really funny, there's some, it's not funny, but it is. There's some drunk homeless guy on a video I had posted. Heaven forbid if it gets me in trouble. I hope not, because somebody else had posted this. But there's a drunk homeless guy on a street basically fondling the crotch of a headless mannequin. Like he's literally, what do you call it, foreplaying a headless female mannequin. So, no, my luck, I may get in trouble for it. I hope not, because I got too much riding on this account. So, I'm just hoping that I don't get in trouble again, because, it seems no matter what you post, depends who you are, it just seems to get you in some sort of trouble. So, at least me and my friend Todd. So anyway, other than that, oh, by the way, I put up the picture of me wearing the sack over my head, the Jason Voorhees sack. And I actually look more so like a demented unknown comic, if you ever remember the unknown comic from back in the day. I think it was from the Gong Show. I look more like that than anything else. So, sorry about that. I stepped away for a minute. So, everyone, I hope you enjoyed my show. I hope this entertained somebody and hopefully not pissed off too many people for the 2 people to listen to me. But have a good night. Sorry I was off for a while, and I probably will be off a bit again. But you know what? It's almost the end of the year again, so we only got 2 months after October, which is going very fast. So have a good one. This is Walter from iWalter, and yeah, I'm going to be signing off for now.